America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. Of course, good morning to the world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, created by we the people. We the people, we the people, we the people. Let's remember that. We the people. Before I go to the studio, you know something? I was thinking last night, why is it so difficult for us to get the message out? That message that says we're all worthy. That message that says our worth to society is no less than those who have been able to perfect the spoils of the society. And I realized it was really something that's been ingrained in us from birth, the indoctrinative state. We talk about the administrative state. We also have the indoctrinative state. But without further ado, let's first of all welcome back El Senor Howard Reynolds. I know you're not in the control room right now. Welcome back, however. And but of course, we have in the studio Jacques Van Bibbe and Mayana. Good morning, folks.
Good morning. It's good to hear you.
Great to hear you guys, man. How's it going?
It's going good. Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Well, I think by what you just said, Oligarch's Pledge is in line.
Oh my God, we got the oligarchs pledge. Let's go for it, brother.
Yeah, I really couldn't think of anything this morning, so that's my fault.
Hey, wait, hey, you don't tell the audience that, man.
I was gonna say, what
Hey, audience, let me come
I'm
in the
brain dead.
defense. Let me come in defense of my brother. That oligarchy
Pledge.
poem, rant, pledge. You know what? It's a great filler, so it has potency. Let's hear it.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the corporations of the United Empire of America and to the economy for which it enslaves all peoples, demonizes and devalues them, passes the profit to the elite 1%, with punishment and tyranny for the poor, slackers.
Slackers, that's what they are. Slackers, the workers, the people who get make things happen, are those people at the other end of our signals right now. Guys, you're the ones who made it happen. Um, I tell you something, man. Last night I went to bed. I was writing this stuff about what the people who have health insurance from their employer. A lot of people forego any other kind of health insurance. I remember for the longest time, even as I could, when my wife started to work basically for health insurance because she has lupus and she has to have something that covers well. I kept on saying, you know what? I prefer my own. I'm going to go on to the exchange and get my health care. I mean, I didn't do a lot of research as far as company healthcare. You hear about company healthcare, you just think you have something good. And I yesterday I was on TikTok, and this young lady came on and she told her story. And something that we all have to learn: stories is where it's at. You get so much more out of stories, and if you get yourself on a TikTok train or an Instagram chain or an email list chain or whatever with people that just throw out stuff that's happening in people's lives. That is the best way to learn. That's the best way to get stuff that really affects the average American citizen, the average United States citizen, the average world citizen. Just listening to their stories. After all, that's what we are. Bundle of stories is what happens to us, right? And this story really hit me, and it sent me into the research modal. And I have a little 10 minutes piece for you. But since Tag is the first one on the line, and he called in probably before the show started, I don't know. Let's go ahead and hear what our brother in Michigan has to say.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Well, I just had this idea bouncing around inside my head about these people who love Trump, and I finally come to the conclusion that they don't love Trump's capacity to manage our government and to govern for all people. What people who love Trump, and bless their hearts that they love Trump. I'm glad for them, happy for them. They love the show.
Yeah.
And he's been putting on quite a show since he got back into office. So every day he's affecting the media cycle. And all these people talk about how they hate the media, but they love seeing Trump in the media doing what he's doing. And I think that eventually people are going to understand we need a leader. We need leaders for our political people. We don't need showmen. So that was kind of my rant for the morning.
Well, let me just tell you, there's something to that, but there's a one of our 3 o'clock p.m. listeners put out a poll that was done. I don't know if it was Ipsos or one of these. I don't remember which pollster it was, and they put out a poll that said if if you found out, this is to Trump supporters, Republicans in the aggregate, if you found out that Donald Trump was a pedophile or a trafficker, or not a trafficker, but is complicit in what Epstein did, would you still vote for him? And Joanne, one of our callers, also, she said, Egberto, remember that you can't just use pedophiles because there are some religions that 12 years old is the consent age. Okay, that's true. But what about whether or not it's rape or not? Well, that, that's what we think it is, right? But still, the question
Yep.
was asked, and 47% of Republicans said they would still elect or vote for this guy. That, in my opinion, says it all. And I can almost guarantee that in those 47% of the people, those people, there are folks that you probably have lunch with, talk to, think they're nice people or whatever, and they said they would still elect this person. That tells you there is a deep psychological problem within the country. A deep psychological problem
And
within
that
the country.
in that problem is these people are living to watch a show every day. They
Yeah,
want to see Trump the showman.
yeah, they want to see the showman, but what happens when what the showman does affects your livelihood, your child's livelihood, your ability to stay alive. What happens then, right? And that's why I talk about the psychological problem. If you can still want to watch the show, as you say, Tag, you want to watch the show, but you're watching the show as the show is killing you, that's a psychological problem, in my opinion.
It's
You know,
it's it's all a lot of hot air, and eventually it's going to come crashing down. In my opinion, I
yeah,
guess some
I
people
hear.
are going to have to watch longer to see this happen. But that's where we're headed. So thanks, Egberto. I'm going to go.
Thank you, brother. You have a good one, Tag. And Charles White, welcome
But
aboard, as well as Steve Mengerson, Florence. Remember, when I come on, I don't see the first few. So if you want me to call you out, you can just throw your name out there. Let me know what city and state you're from. Charles says, I decided I would not keep friends who follow the AH. And you guys know what the AH is. Guys, I can't say the word. I'm on FM radio. The FCC would come and knock me out if I did that. Likewise, we have in the chat Jacqueline Campisi. Good morning, Jacqueline, our teacher from Katy, Texas. I guess you're not teaching this morning or you're listening early in the morning, sis. Let me tell you, my daughter completed her second week of teaching. The kids love her. I mean, it's amazing the rapport that they have with her. As you know, she's teaching science, and She has that room rigged for them. She's having a blast. Of course, she's on her legs a lot, her feet a lot, including the bad foot, the left one that doesn't work right. And I think it's good therapy to tell you the truth, but you know how that goes. But yes, guys, for those of you who are new to the program, everybody would tell you that even before my daughter migrated into the field of teaching, I've always said I think it can be proven the most important, not I think, it is proven the most important profession, bar none, are teachers. They're the ones who move knowledge forward. And Jacqueline, I've always told you that as well, and all the other teachers that are on the screen. Thank you so kindly. That's a special profession. In Panama, we give them the respect of standing and attention generally. We see them at a grocery store or somewhere. It is like, oh, that's my teacher. And, it's that respect. And our plutocracy out here, because of their desire to clamp down on knowledge and who gets knowledge, have pretty much taken away the respect that is deserving and earned by teachers. Well, we're going to change that. Teachers are the most important profession, better so than stockbrokers or all what the billionaires are doing. Because do remember, the billionaires create nothing. Our teachers create doctors, lawyers, engineers, janitors, everybody else. That's who our teachers create. So to all our teachers out there, head into school in the mornings. Some of them drowsy. Some of them haven't had a bad day yesterday. Some of them who have to work within the confines of a system that doesn't treat them right. This host here honors you. Betty, come on in before we go to the video.
Hi, Alberto.
Good morning, beautiful. Talk to me.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Trump took being shot serious. He is so paranoid. He's bringing out his big guns on the wall, and he's in on America. He's surrounding himself with Secret Service, PD, ICE, Reserve, military. Buffalo Butt is so paranoid. But anyway, this goes to the American people. Don't roll over and play dead. Get up and say something. Get up and let us know how you feel.
Thank you.
Demand your rights. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you, Betty. Thank you, sis. All right. Welcome aboard as well. Lee the Bearcat from Austin. Lee says, please keep politics out of school. Could you please tell your party that? I think Lee the Bearcat is one of my nice MAGA brothers here. Tell your party that, Lee the Bearcat, because all the things that we see them doing, put in the 10 Commandments in school, keep politics out of school, keep talking about all the bathroom bills, all these things, keep politics out of school, not paying the teachers right, keep politics out of schools and do the right thing. If you can give the corporatocracy all these tax breaks, you can give the teachers the money they are due. All right. I spoke to you earlier about the healthcare thing. Let me go and play that, and we'll then take it on the other side. I saw a TikTok video, and after I saw that TikTok video, like I said, I follow a lot of people, good folks that have fact-based information. And what TikTok does is it rewards you by sending you other people giving that kind of info. And of course, I fact-checked everything. And I did with this as well. I want you to listen to this woman. And for all of you who have corporate insurance, corporate health insurance, I want you guys to listen to this lady. And then I'm going to go over a few things with you. All right. So let's go ahead first and listen to what she has to say.
My insurance company is lying to me. I've been fighting with my insurance company all year to get them to cover a expensive but necessary surgery. And I was interviewed a few weeks ago on NBC to talk about the fact that my insurance continues to deny my expensive surgery. NBC reached out to Cigna, my insurance company, to ask for a comment. And in their public comment, they stated that they had a lipedema specialist, which is what I have, look at my case and determined that I don't have it. Now, that's the first I heard of them having a specialist look at my case. So after the interview goes live, I call Cigna and I say, hey, I'd love some information. I'd like to know who this doctor is, what their specialty is. I'd just like to confirm that this is a lipedema specialist, since I've had 2 diagnoses by other lipedema specialists. So I'm confused. I spend hours on hold, and lo and behold, that person doesn't exist. They made it up. So I submit a complaint with my state insurance commissioner, because that's illegal to have your insurance company lie to you. Cigna's response to the state insurance commissioner was that my plan was self-funded, so it doesn't fall under Utah's jurisdiction. And if I want to do anything about it, I need to appeal to the federal government. So of course, I email my insurance broker and ask them what this means. And they tell me it's not self-funded, it's level funded. I bring this information back to the Utah Insurance Board and ask them what that means. And they tell me level funded health insurance is not health insurance. It doesn't count as health insurance. What? What this means is that if you have employer funded insurance, if you're getting insurance through your employer, it's likely not considered insurance by the government. They call it an employer benefit. Why call it insurance if it's not insurance? Obviously, this is my situation in my state and my insurance provider, but if you have employer funded insurance, I would definitely make sure that that is actually considered insurance by your state, just in case you get into a tricky situation like me.
Okay, so what I did, of course, like I told you guys, I take nothing at face value. Reputation is everything and credibility is everything. So I went and did the research, spent quite a bit of time on it. So here's what I found. Yes, it is true that some employer-funded health insurance isn't deemed insurance by states. Some employer-funded health coverage is not legally considered insurance under federal or state law, and this creates confusion for workers. The issue usually arises with self-funded employer health plans and certain limited benefit plans. So here how it goes. Self-funded plans. Many large employers do not actually buy a health insurance policy for their workers. Instead, they set aside money to directly pay medical claims themselves, often hiring a private insurer like Aetna, Cigna, or United Healthcare only to administer the plan. These arrangements are called self-funded plans, regulated under the Federal Employee Retirement Income Security Act. Because they are not technically insurance, states cannot regulate them the same way they regulate traditional insurance companies. That means that the state consumer protections, such as mandated coverage for certain services, often don't apply. That's why they could lie to her. Limited benefit or accepted benefit plans. Some employers offer mini-med plans, fixed indemnity coverage, or supplemental accident disease policies. These are not considered comprehensive insurance under the Affordable Care Act. They don't have to meet requirements like covering pre-existing conditions, essential health benefits, or providing an annual out-of-pocket maximum. In many states, regulators explicitly warn that these arrangements are not true health insurance, even though workers may assume they are. The consequences? Workers may believe they are insured only to find out their plan excludes major categories of care. States often cannot intervene if the employer plan is self-funded, leaving federal law as the only protection. Insurance companies acting as third-party administrators can give the impression of traditional insurance, but legally, they aren't on the hook for the risk. Your employer is. Some states have sued or issued advisories about deceptive marketing of non-insurance products bundled with employment. In short, yes, in many cases, what looks like employer-provided insurance is not considered insurance under the law. It's a loophole born of ERISA, preemption, and ACA carve-outs. That's the Affordable Care Act carve-outs. And it weakens consumer protections for millions of workers. So I want you guys to understand this. These things this is real. So what I did is I then did a search, right? I did a search and I said, let me find out of well-known companies that people think they have great insurance from. Do they really? So I checked out these companies. And here are the big companies. IBM, their insurance plans are Self-funded. Are they considered insurance by states? Are they not considered insurance by states? They're not insurance according to states. Intel, self-funded plan. Not considered insurance by states. Yes, they're not considered insurance by states. Boeing, yes, they are self-funded, not considered insurance by states. Yes. Walmart, let me just put that up on the screen so that you guys can actually see the what I'm doing here. Para ver, let me get that out here. Put it on the screen just so you can see that I'm just calling these out. Walmart, self-funded plan, yes, not considered insurance by state. So all this stuff is saying you have no state recourse. Cigna, well, that's different because Cigna, it says yes by 80%. And then, of course, CVS Health. So I think it's important for us to understand that with all the advances we made, ABC Radio, I don't know, Joe, I'll have to look that one up, but but with all the advances we've made in healthcare, the corporations, even as they were formed, even as we were putting the ACA together, they all went out there to say, allow us to screw the American people one more time. Think about it. I want you guys to think about where we're at. The only answer is Medicare for all. That's the only thing that covers everything and says they can't pull these shenanigans over us. Medicare for all. Americans, my brothers and my sisters, we have to start demanding. People say, "Oh, we can't get Medicare for all. There are too many stakeholders that want otherwise." That's not true. We have 330 million stakeholders and a few hundred insurance companies that are stakeholders. We are in command if we use our power. We are in command if we use our power. And it is essential that we do so because this is bankrupting Americans. Americans are living their lives to pay bills to enrich a few. All those raises in healthcare costs, inflation in healthcare costs is simply additional growth for the wealthy. Remember that. The extra money you pay for healthcare, the extra money you pay for all these services every year, that isn't that these services inherently cost more. That is because the wealthy who own the stocks in these companies want a growth rate that is larger than the growth rate of the economy. And when you have a growth rate in one section larger than the economy, that is a definition of how one gets inflation. So we pay more so that the wealthy can have a bigger piece of the pie. And as the pie, you look at the pie, and as the small amount of people who are wealthy keeps getting a bigger piece of that pie, the multitude, the many of the rest of us continue to get less. That's a rentier's economy. That is an economy of indentured servitude. That's an economy of the antiseptically enslaved. And I don't say this to be I don't say this to be hyperbolic. I say this because this is the way it is, and there's only one way to change this, and we all have the power to do it, and we can start right now. We can start right now. Okay, welcome aboard, para ver Reyes Nunez. Welcome aboard, Lisa Blair. Good morning from Atlanta, Georgia. Billy Irwin, welcome aboard from Summerwood. Thank you guys for being here as well. Jacqueline Campisi says, loopholes everywhere. Reyes Munoz says, Vuniti Vinati. Good morning. Buenos dias, everyone. Absolutely. Buenos dias, hermano mío. Adam W., Maria Miller, Margaret Ryan, Jennifer Hunter, Margaret Ryan from Chattaroy, Washington. Welcome aboard. Sally Lee, welcome aboard as well. Charles White, Sandra Diegler, Lucas Wilker, etc. Let's go to Xavier on line number 1.
Hello, Umberto. I'm just calling to say I'm a new listener. I started listening a month ago. I'm young. I'm 25, blue collar worker. I just wanted some advice and I know you're talking about health insurance. I've been trying to talk to my younger friends as far as getting more involved and what's going on in politics. And when the things started happening in Gaza, there was a big influx of people who were worried. But I've noticed in the past couple of months, it kind of went away. And with more and more happening, I just really want more younger people to try to just step into the spotlight as far as helping out or even a voice in that manner. I just wanted to ask if you could talk about things that I could do to make my voice heard, as far as what can I do to help people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I learn. I mean, talk. Just have conversations with your friends and try to turn every listen to what's bothering them. So, as an example, if they can't afford to get a credit card or something like that, turn that into how our current policies do it. But you don't do it in a nerdy way, like necessarily like I talk some of the times, right? You do it like, well, if we started to, get a little bit more involved, we can force these guys to make sure we get what we're worth. It is the best way to reach people is for them to first trust you and have conversations in you, and then you become their examples. I can tell you one thing. There are so many people that have been around, even in my younger days, that had no interest in politics at all, but they got into into seeing what we did in not only the protests that we did, but also in the involvement that we had, and they made change. Now, granted, being young, what's on people's minds? Getting a girl, getting a drink, and so forth. But that one time that they have that problem that is caused by what our government has done or what our politicians has done to us, you are always ready to turn that moment into opening their eyes, because that is a point when they're listening. That is a point when they're listening. So let me just tell you, I have seen a lot of the younger. What you said about Gaza is real. And by the way, if you notice, Gaza is not on the news much anymore. It's not that anything changed in Gaza. Is that the politicians don't want that too much on the news right now, because you notice as it left the news, so did the protests, so did these other things come off the news, because people are not seeing it and they're not instantiating it. So you're right about that, how what Gaza off the news has done. But that said, my brother, just be there. And I've seen your generation, Gen Z, a generation that I love, because uh, believe it or not, your Gen Z generation has been more active than my generation at that time, at that age. And the reason why is you just about have to, brother. So, first of all, thank you for this call. Thank you for the interest. And you are the catalyst. Anything else you want to add, brother?
No, thank you, Umberto, for everything you talk about.
All right. You have a wonderful day, Xavier. Let's go to Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Good morning. Happy
Good
Friday.
morning, my brother. How you doing? Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. I didn't say that. Come on. What's up, brother?
I will put this out first. This is an opinion, but to remark on the last caller, the reason why I believe that the reporting has fallen off very recently about Gaza and the West Bank is because that Netanyahu has a siege planned, and they're going to roll tanks in, and they're going to take it, and they're going to take it by violence on unarmed citizens. But
Amen.
that's not why I called, and this isn't why I called either. But I gave you coordinates like 2 weeks ago, and I told you to
Yes,
look at them on Google Earth. Did you ever?
I did. I did. Yes.
Okay, and so you saw the Israeli Egypt border wall that was
Yes.
100 miles from
Yes.
Gaza. So you can let Brian know that yet again he's talking without researching. But why I did call is very, very simple. I listened to that video yesterday, and I thought a lot about it. I haven't had time to research much on it, but it occurred to me that if employers are shoring up cash for health problems, doesn't that incentivize them to get rid of people that are aging?
Of course. I mean, but that has always been done. But go ahead, brother. Yes.
So we're losing Medicare, we're losing Social Security, and we're creating more incentives for our employers to kick us off of plans that we need.
Exactly. Let me say one thing that you. Yes, you're correct. You're correct.
Go ahead.
There's something that you've always heard me say, that employment in the way we do it is actually more effective than slavery. And why I call it antiseptic slavery. Remember this. When people who looked like me were slaves, we had to be clothed, we had to be kept healthy, and we had to be fed. Definition, I mean, how, that's a different story. The employee today in many companies, right? They are expendable resources. So whereas while slavery had assets, the slave, right? The employer has a rentier, something they can rent until they have no use for it. And when they have no use for it, they throw it away. So from an economic standpoint, I try to explain to people why we need to change the economic system to a different modal. Because again, understand that all of us, bar none. First, it used to be just folks who looked like me, but now it's all of us that are expendable. And as expendable entities, that is exactly why we have all the ills that we have today. And yes, on TV, you see everybody that's doing well. But think about your 60% and growing. 60% and growing. The economic system eats you. Go ahead, brother.
I sent you an 8-second video yesterday of a development that's about 1/3 built, and you couldn't hear one hammer, you couldn't hear one tool,
Yes.
you couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm absolutely certain that layoffs are imminent for me, and this will be the only other time I've ever been laid off in my life was in 2018, and that was when I worked building infrastructure. And
There you go.
that was under a president that said that he was going to be the infrastructure president. So same person, same fate for me, 2 times in a row.
Well, I wish the best on you, my brother.
Thank you.
But let me just say this: the thing about it is, we have the ability in 26 to change quite a bit. It's whether we are going to allow them to snow us into doing the wrong thing, as they have been effective in doing for so long, or we do the right thing. Thank you, Patrick. Have a wonderful rest of your day, brother.
Have a great weekend.
See you at 3. All right. Let's go to Richard. Come on in, Richard.
Yeah, hey Egberto.
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. I was surprised. I was glad to hear you. I wasn't surprised. I just want to tell you, I'm glad to hear you and Neil yesterday on the spiel on these representatives that were, I assume at the time when they were gone, were brave, and this was the hill they were going to die on. I did a fundraiser at my home with Grant Peoples, who opened for Tom Hartman. It was the next day, and everybody donated. And I told everybody, and we're not rich. I said, we'll match what you send, because this is for the brave people that are. And I just assumed that there was fundraisers dotted across the nation that was going on then and before and after that were going to help these guys stay out. I assumed it was going to be like, incorrectly, obviously, my assumption, that this was the hill they were going to die on, and it was not unlike the Underground Railroad, where you're going to go from house to house, and retired couples with kids moved off that have a room or 2 or 3 that are vacant and can put these people up for 6 days and move around. And I was wrong. This was just a show. This was, please, I'm so tired of hearing about the brave, and this is what I was calling it first, the brave Texas representatives. It's just like what you said when they said their excuse was the family. Oh, we had to get back to our family. Well, what about the families that are going to be devastated by this dictatorship in the future? This should have been the hill to die on. And I wrote them a letter, and I sent the money in still afterwards. And I wrote them a letter basically saying what I said to you just now. I mean, I used my words carefully, that I was disappointed. I didn't use any cuss words. And, it just amazes me the jelly spines of the people that ask me to vote for them and say, I will fight for you. Well, you said you're going to fight for me. You didn't say you're going to fight for me for 2 weeks. You said you're going to fight for me. So this is appalling to see these people go out of town for 2 weeks and come back with their tail tucked all up in their, you know what, and for them to sign this permission slip now that puts a damn dog on them for the rest of their career, ghosting them. I mean, not ghosting them.
I know, following them around, shadowing them.
Shadowing them. Thank you. That's the word. That's just appalling. I cannot believe what I'm witnessing in my country.
Richard,
But
let me
most
tell you,
appalling,
I am on the same page with you. I think when you ask people for your vote, assuming you are in existential times as we preach, which I don't think I know we are, uh, I would want my representative to do a little bit more sacrificing. And the fact that we have folks like you, and you're correct, people all over the country raising money. Don't you think that the Republicans sit back and just say, "Oh, Democrats always cave, or that they want the easy life, or that they, I mean, th- th- look, there are a lot of other things that they've caved on here in Texas that I think they could have put more resistance in. There are a lot of things that I think they could have been more vocal about. There are a lot more things that I think they should be doing in rural areas for these people that are completely and entirely made ignorant by Republicans. I think there's so much that they could have done. And there's one particular representative that I pretty much considered a friend. And the one thing I told her, I said, you're younger, you're XYZ. Are you going to start going into rural areas and making the case so that you can pick up the votes? Look at the redistricting that was done. Look at Al Green's district. They've made Al Green's district very rural now. Imagine if we had started going into those districts, not expecting them to give us love and hugs, but just out there that they know that we care, that they know that farmers who are getting their tractors from John Deere and having to have John Deere put a screw in it, something they can do themselves, but they have to pay John Deere several $100s to do. Imagine if they saw that we had interest in what they do. We probably wouldn't have won the ideological vote, those people that are sycophants, but there's so many we could have won. I mean, there's so much that can be done as the progress. Well, I'm not going to call them progressive. Those folks. Now, let me just tell you, Richard, there's some of them still in Chicago. Okay, the vote wasn't a lot of them, and they're being nice. I won't name the particular one I tried to talk to yesterday, but they are back in Chicago, and they said, I'm not going to talk bad about these guys that came, but for my values, I figured I needed to make I had to stay. And I wish more had done that. Anything else, Richard, real quick?
well, I think Christina Morales is one of them that's
Yes, she's out there
an
in
admirer
Chicago.
of my aunt that I sent you the bio
Yes.
of, my 19th Amendment, and that's what I actually disclosed to in my letter of disappointment with my check that she was a frontline warrior. She didn't do it for 2 weeks.
Hmm.
All of them, they accomplished this by being steadfast and being in it for the long haul, not 2 weeks.
Right.
And so I use that as an example in this letter to these. I'm not going to call them cowards because I mean they.
No,
Wow.
they're not cowards. It's just that they don't have that fighting spirit that we know we would have in there. Look, I understand they have families, Richard. I understand that. But families also know when you take a job like I am representing my district, that's what you're taking the job for.
Exactly.
Thank you,
Exactly.
Richard.
And
I gotta
so,
go. I gotta go. Let's
all
talk
right, thank
tomorrow.
you.
Thank you very much, brother. Let's go to Augie. Come on in, brother Augie.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I was lucky. I worked for Southwestern Bell, then it became AT&T eventually, but it became a not as good a company. And luckily, I had union health care, and it was good until I turned 65. Then I had to go on to, the Affordable Care Act or
Hmm.
that United Healthcare. But I still wanted to work, so I worked for this small company at the BP plant in Texas City, and there were a bunch of young workers there, and they were with the company health care plan, and money was taken out of their wages, which weren't that much. I think they were being paid $12 an hour at that time. But in the fall and winter time, most of them were married and had kids. They couldn't afford to take their kids to a primary care doctor. They had to take them to emergency room for whatever treatment, whatever ailed them. The company said if anybody talked union, they would shut down the company and fire everybody. So they kept them like that. But another thing is the big companies also have life insurance on their employees. That's how Western Bell did. But if the employee doesn't tell his family that the company has it's a benefit, the company keeps the life insurance if the employee dies.
Yes, all the time. Yeah.
My brother worked for Southwestern Bell. He joined it a couple of years after I did, and he retired. And then within a few months of retirement, he only got like 3 months of Social Security payments. But when he died, I told my two sisters, hey, he's got life insurance, but they didn't know about it. Luckily, I did, so I knew what number to call, and we split up the $42,000 life insurance policy that the company would have kept otherwise if I hadn't known about it.
There you go. Hey, Augie, I got to go to some other calls, but thank you very much for your story, my brother.
Yeah, but I wanted to really talk about National Guard. It was state funded, and right now the government calendar ends in September, and the states didn't fund for them to be at the Capitol, so the money for the National Guard is coming out of other funds that the state has for them. And after September, them and I get paychecks from the government than the National Guard troops because they're not funded. Something to think about. But thanks for what you do.
Thank you, brother Augie. Let's go to I think it's Jimmy. Come on in, Jimmy.
Yeah, this Wednesday, the New York Times had a fascinating article about the Russian army when they first invaded Ukraine back in February of 2022. A lot of young men did not want to serve, and they left the country. So Russia started offering incentives to join the army. They now have a $30,000 bonus, signing bonus when you sign up to go in the army. They pay the soldiers $2,450 a month, whereas the average Russian earns only about $900 a month. If you lose an arm or a leg, you get $36,000. If you capture a tank, you get $12,000. So they're using money now to really get more and more recruits. They recruit about 1,000 new soldiers every day, and that's how they keep our army going with money. So,
well, I don't know how long that's going to last, but they sure losing order of magnitude more people. A lot of people on both sides dying, but Russia's treating its people as expendable, so they don't get that money for a long time because a lot of them just go out there and die, especially the ones that are not trained. But we'll see what happens.
I think Russia's lost like 230,000 men have died in this war, so it's costing them and Ukraine and lots and lots of people.
Yeah, it's just a waste of human lives. But thank you very much, Jimmy. We'll talk
one more item for you. The other day, I got a phone call. He said, I'm with United Publishers, and you have won $17 million and a new car. My reply was, you're a criminal and you belong in prison.
I love that. Exactly. These guys, these marketing things, I tell you, is shameful. Thank you, brother. We'll talk later. All right. Let's go to Moses. Come on in, Moses. How you doing, beautiful?
Good morning,
my sister.
hermano.
Buenos dias, mi hermana. Talk to me.
Buenos dias. Well, let me say very shortly. Call a spade a spade. There is nothing more, no other word you can find, but to call those people who came back to Texas to call themselves, you cannot call them anything more than cowards. They are cowards. How can you, being educated and all this kind of stuff, any little child knows, they've been taught, don't sign anything that you know is going to be against you. This is pure cowardice. Now, either they are cowards or they've been fake all the time. They were not real Democrats. Now, what we have now is a situation in this country now. The Democrats, most of them are cowards. Those, the fake ones, I will call them, because they came in, they had other means, other ways of covering themselves up, unless they were Republicans and we didn't know it before, but now they showed themselves to be that. They're cowards, and then the Republicans are ignorant. That is the situation with both parties in this country now. And when you have this clash of ignorance and cowardice, the people, again, we are the people we've been waiting for. Thank
Amen.
you.
Thank you, Moses. Moses, and you know what? People, listen up. Primaries matter. And in the primaries, you have to start picking people that are showing the fortitude to do what's necessary. If these are existential times, one should act like these are existential times. Thank you, sister. You have a wonderful day,
Now,
Moses.
let me say this. Hold on. Let me say this. Sometimes the pit you dig, it'll be the pit you dig for yourself. Because they could gerrymander and do all what they want to. And the state that the people, the voters are feeling, they might go to the very gerrymandered thing and throw out all of the Republicans in their own hole, in their old gerrymandered forms. Both Republican and Democratic voters might say, we don't like what you all are doing, and they might kick all of the Republicans out when they think, oh, we're going to give this to Donald Trump. And the people are saying, we went by thousands and millions to say we do not want a king. And that's what we mean.
Moses, I've been saying that. Texas, believe it or not, even as they're trying to gerrymander for themselves, it could be a failure, but we'll see. Thank you, Moses. Let's go to Brian. Brian, come on in.
Yeah. You're familiar with Letitia James, right?
Of course.
And the false, what happened yesterday in court about his fine, $526 million? That might be wrong, but it's...
No, they decided that was too punitive. They decided that amount was too punitive. They didn't... Remember, he's guilty, and he remains guilty. But again, they said that amount of money was punitive and too punitive. And again, we all know by now that rich people get away from paying the things that they cause, while poor people who face the law, nobody's there to defend them. Nobody's there to say what the sentence that they get is punitive. But for Donald Trump, hey, he's a rich guy. He's not like you or me. So, Brian, while you're rejoicing for that billionaire I'm not done. No, you're not going to interject.
Of course not.
You will not interject. When you are having being very happy that Donald Trump is not going to have to pay several million dollars, as he has extorted billions from all of us, that tells you where your mind is. Now you may speak.
Okay, what was the crime? And did everyone that he borrowed money from, did they get paid back with interest?
That's not the point. The point that, let me tell you what the crime is. The crime is the following. In the way our economic system is set up, if you take money as a loan out of what being undeserving of said loan, you are denying others loans. So no, there are victims. I mean, and that's why the media has been poor in explaining this. They give you the assumption that this is a victimless crime. It is not. If there are rules that one follows for loan making, the fact that he got a loan he was not entitled to mean that others were denied loans they were entitled to because of what he took. So no, it's not true that there were no victims. There were victims. Anything else?
Okay. Yeah, Letitia James took out a mortgage as a primary residence in Virginia. Now, is that a victimless crime?
I mean, I don't see the problem in. I mean, Letitia James, notice what's happening. All we have these are
She
shenanigans,
lives in
okay,
New York City.
brother.
She
These
lives in
are
New York City.
hey, she has shenanigans that the your president had two primaries, Florida and New York. But I got to go to sensible stuff, man. Let me get to
Of
Derek. Come on
course,
in,
of
Derek.
course.
Derek, come on in.
Hey, good morning. Quickly, Brian, you say nothing that Donald Trump owns homes in other parts of the world, and I wonder, is that acceptable to you that a man could be have a home in Las Vegas, a man can have a home now in Ireland and all this stuff, but you say nothing. But if a person purchases a property there in New Jersey but live in New York, what does that matter? But I didn't call for that. But quickly, Jimmy was absolutely correct, Alberto. You know, I'm glad he said what he did, because the United States right now is offering to young people $50,000 to and forgiveness of their college loans to come into the military or join ICE. And I just want to say, all money is not good money when you really boil down to the whole base. And that's all I'm calling to say.
Thank you very much, Derek. And Derek is absolutely right. And like I said before, all the people that right now have fallen into the trap of doing evil to their brothers and sisters via the Trump administration, you all, if look, we love you, etc., as a human being, but you must pay for what you have been doing, and you will. All right, let's go to Donald real quick, brother Donald.
Okay, did Jasmine Crockett come back?
I don't know if she's back in the state. No, Jasmine was federal. She's not state. Remember? So that
Okay,
didn't apply.
exactly. That's right.
Yeah.
That didn't apply. Okay,
Yeah.
real quick, you asked the other day what good things Donald Trump has done, or to name one, right? Well, I can tell you what he has done. He went in there and disrupted the whole damn system. He got rid of Mitt Romney, the Bushes, and a lot of others that have been taking advantage of it. And he laid the groundwork for the Mandamis and everybody else, because now people can realize, hey, we can actually get what we want. So you say he did bad this whole thing.
I'm okay, Donald. I'm gonna give that to you. Thank you, Donald. We got Mandami. I'm gonna hold on to that, brother. I'm gonna hold on to that. Hey, Donald, I gotta go, but thank you, brother. You be peaceful.
Oh, I was going to tell you with Jasmine Crockett, she can call out him Hot Wheels all she wants, because when you go into politics, no holds are barred.
There you
can
go.
say anything and do anything because they're politicians. That's why they came back. And that's it.
Love you, brother. Peace. Let's go to Rick. Come on in, Rick.
Good morning, Egberto. Brian seems to forget that how many bankruptcies that Trump had that stole money from his contractors.
Thank you.
And their victims.
Yeah, you know, let me tell. Hey, Rick, let me just say this, right? I played a video 2 days ago with the Secretary of State Marco Rubio calling Trump a con man and saying exactly what you said. He conned his employees. He cons everybody else. Our brother Brian is I think he's a blue collar worker, if I am mistaken. These are the kinds of folks that Donald Trump has. There you go, brother. There you go. These are the kinds of folks that Donald Trump has taken advantage of, and that he calls to rejoice in Donald Trump not having to pay a fine for having done wrong. It's sick, right?
Yes, it's shameful and very distorted.
Oh my God. I mean, and that's why I said earlier, when I don't know if you listened to the beginning of the show, I started the show about one of the most difficult thing is that we don't only have an administrative state that they like to talk about, but we have an indoctrinative state. And like we had a young man that called earlier, 25-year-old guy. Thank you, 25-year-old. I forgot your name right off the top of my head. But he called and he said, how can we get engaged? Brother, we need folks like you to start doing it because there are some that very older folks, they're far gone. And let me tell you better, a lot of us older folk, we are the ones who did our young folk wrong, and we must atone for having done that. Thank you very
I
much,
agree. I think
Rick.
we've left them yes, sir. I think we've left them in kind of a bad situation they're going to have to clean up. So
Yes.
thank you, sir. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you, Rick. And so, yeah, so my young folks and the young brother that called earlier today, one of the reasons I do this, my generation has got to atone to you. Now, I didn't do it personally. I've always been a progressive activist. But my God, our folks have done you wrong, and we must make up. And like I told all those people that are listening right now, you will end up atoning. And all of you that are jumping on the Trump bandwagon, even as he takes you to hell, we'll love you still, but you have got to atone for the hurt that you placed on many. Uju says, Brand, this is not the flex you think it is. Brand also, Eric Adams, the current mayor of New York, who your orange buffoon helped beat his corruption charges. Website properties in New Jersey and New York. Also, Brian, people like your orange buffoon committed white collar crimes, and way away, no one went to jail after the financial crisis. Exactly, Uju, you nailed it. Anyway, thank you all, Guy. All you of you that are here to listen, thank you all for being here. Let me throw it to the studio.
Hey, I was just wanted to say to Xavier, it's a good idea also to volunteer, keep listening, watch documentaries on things that you're interested in. And if you start to volunteer, you'll meet more like-minded people that will help you get into more conversations where it may be easier for you to talk to your friends, as well as just keep picking up information from documentaries, etc.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Jack?
Yeah, insurance has turned into a shell game, or maybe it always was.
Always was. Always was. Thank you, Jack. And Xavier, thank you for reminding me the name, Mayana. Xavier, thank you for the call in, and thank you for what you are doing in trying to reach your generation. Anyway, folks, you can get the rest of the program at politicsandright.com/newsletter. You can write me at kpft@politicsandright.com. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what?